Why everything became about Trump. Since 2016, almost every conversation in America somehow becomes about one person, Donald Trump. Some people believe Trump is a criminal, a con artist, a dangerous narcissist. Others believe he is the last defense against socialism, corruption, open borders, rising costs, and a political system that stopped listening to ordinary Americans. And somewhere along the way, politics stopped becoming about solutions. It became about choosing sides, red versus blue, Trump versus anti-Trump. And the more people fight each other emotionally, the less they focus on the real structural problems facing the country. In 2019, Sasha published a book titled The Purple Vision. In it, he warned that the United States was becoming increasingly polarized, and that political thinking was shifting away from solutions and toward emotional division. People got tired from regular politicians who do not offer any solutions and any directions for working Americans. Why Trump became powerful. One of the central ideas in Sasha Messer's book on why Donald Trump became politically powerful was that Americans were ready for a person who would be different from all other status quo politicians and would lead us toward a better future. In 2016, Donald Trump was born to be that person. He came to the political arena, correctly pointing to the pain points in American society. He became a voice for millions, opening a conversation on rising costs, broken immigration systems, distrust in government, economic frustration, and a growing sense that ordinary Americans were being ignored. Millions of people heard those messages and believed, finally, someone understands what we are going through. But Sasha Messer, in his book in 2019, wrote that Trump is like a patient who can clearly identify where America hurts. And because he identifies that pain so precisely, many people assume he also knows how to fix it. But a patient is not a doctor. And knowing where something hurts is not the same as knowing how to cure it. Thus, Trump properly identifies our problems, but he does not have any plan or any ideas for fixing out fiscal policies and problems that we face as the country and as the nation. The national debt reality. Beyond political division, there is another problem growing in the background of American society, a problem that both parties acknowledge, but neither party is solving. The national debt. As of today, the United States carries roughly $37 trillion in debt, and the deficit continues to grow by approximately $2 to $3 trillion every year. Republicans blame Democrats. Democrats blame Republicans. But the borrowing continues under both administrations. If this trend continues, within 5 years, the debt could approach $50 trillion, and within 10 years, it could reach $65 to $75 trillion. At that level, even a modest interest rate of around 4% would mean $2 to $4 trillion per year in interest payments alone. Money not going to healthcare, not going to infrastructure, not going to education, but simply servicing debt. No long-term solutions. Despite this trajectory, there is still no long-term fiscal plan being seriously debated in a unified way. Instead, political messaging continues to focus on short-term slogans. Tax the rich, cut taxes, tariffs, drill more oil, expand programs, cut programs, different messages, but the same underlying pattern: more spending, more borrowing, more political conflict, and no structural resolution. Both parties operate inside the same loop. Democrats often argue that higher taxes on wealthy individuals and corporations can fund expanded social programs and reduce inequality. Republicans often argue that tariffs, deregulation, increased energy production, and tax cuts will strengthen the economy and restore growth. But in practice, and based on our history, neither approach has solved the underlying structural imbalance. The result is a political system that is highly active, but strategically stagnant. At this point, the disagreement is no longer only ideological, it becomes mathematical, and mathematics does not respond to political slogans. The Purple Vision Framework. According to Sasha Messer, the problem is not that one side is completely right and the other is completely wrong. The problem is that both sides have become incomplete. Each political direction contains valid ideas, but when taken to extremes, those ideas stop producing practical solutions. This is the foundation of the purple vision. Instead of treating politics as a battle between red and blue, it should be treated as a process of combining the strongest practical ideas from both sides, while rejecting the most extreme and non-functional positions. The goal is not ideological purity. The goal is functional outcomes. Immigration, healthcare costs, taxation, national debt. These are system problems, not identity problems. Why democracy requires education. A democratic society can only function effectively if its citizens are informed enough to move beyond emotional polarization and engage with policy at a structural level. Final message: unity and purpose with purple vision. That is why conversations and arguing about our current president Donald Trump are pointless, because we are not discussing fiscal policies or plans for our country. That is why this video is not about one political figure, and it is not about choosing between Democrats or Republicans. It is about understanding the direction the country is moving in, and whether that direction is sustainable. The United States remains a democratic society, which means the future is ultimately decided by its citizens. But democracy only works when decisions are based on understanding, not emotion alone, because we must move beyond division and focus on practical solutions to real problems, like immigration, healthcare costs, taxation, national debt, and long-term economic stability. If these conversations matter to you, then you are part of this community. Read or listen Sasha Messer's book, The Purple Vision, on Amazon, on working solutions for our fiscal policies, and subscribe to the Sasha Messer The Purple Vision YouTube channel and join the conversation.